Welcome to Unhinged Magi. All right, we're back. Craziness and things can't be more stupid than most things.
Yeah, things are pretty stupid right now.
Right? Minimum wage is one of those stupid things that they created a long time ago. Now, They did have a reason, though.
They did, actually. There is a historical reason on why minimum wage actually came out.
Yep.
But the point that we want to get to, we want to kind of like lead you guys to, is that minimum wage is one of those things that has an intended purpose that's good intentions. Literally good intentions.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the people that lift it up, they have the right thing in their hearts, the right thing they're trying to propose.
That is correct.
But it just doesn't work out. In reality, it doesn't work out, and we're going to talk about some of that today.
We are. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up the screen here so you can guys see it. The Fair Labor Standards Act, FLSA, set the first U.S. minimum wage in 1938. President Franklin D. Roosevelt passed it as part of the New Deal to protect workers during the Great Depression. The Depression had caused wages to drop to pennies a day for many. Roosevelt set the minimum wage at 25 cents per hour. Fierce competition during Depression forced companies to slash prices and extend hours just to stay in business. Dun, dun, dun. All right, we'll just skip all that stuff because we got child labor issues and that kind of stuff, and the New Deal got rid of all that.
So we can link this article, but let's summarize it quickly here for you guys. What the summary of what's really going on is that the United States was going through booms and busts,
Correct.
And then they made a central bank in the early 1900s, and then when the central bank was created, there was a massive expansion of credit, which created the Roaring '20s, and everybody borrowed and spent way too much money, which led people into a depression when those bills came due. Yeah. And then when you're in the middle of a depression, there was a fear-based sell-off. There was a crashing of economy that was basically based on too much credit overspending, things like that. All of this is a result of, if you think about it big picture-wise, it's like you have a free market economy and the government tries to come in and capture it, gain control of it, and allows things to happen that shouldn't happen, like spending money you don't have.
Right. That
creates perversions in the market that is after effects. And so now you got this big crash in the 1930s. And amongst this big crash, there's it's like an overselling of the stock market. When things drop below the price where they really should be, that's kind of what was effectively going on with labor. Labor was getting just destroyed. And the prices were going way too low. And so government had a desire to kind of put a floor in there. And so they set a minimum wage, not necessarily because the minimum wage is a great idea unto itself. They were just trying to stop the fear, stop the emotion, stop this big sell-off and this destroying of markets.
You're guaranteed to get something. Just go to work and we'll make sure it happens.
Yep. So the general idea, like many things should be in government probably, is that it's temporary. Like you put in this act, you stop the bleeding, you stop the freaking out, and then once the freaking out stops and things reset to more market level, you should have gone in and removed the minimum wage. But what's the quote? There's nothing so permanent as a temporary government program. That's the quote, right? I think it actually might be Reagan that said that. But anyways, I don't remember exactly, but someone said it.
Someone
it's
very
true. When government comes in and says, we're going to do this thing temporarily, just take that word temporarily and throw it out almost every single time.
And it's going to be forever. You're kind of taking the hose down at that point.
Yep.
But let's look at today's standards. Everyone's talking about, well, not everyone currently. They're talking about other things that are more important issues, Ukraine, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But let's talk about right now. A lot of people want the minimum wage to be raised to $15.
And the people that want that have good intentions. They have something honest and good in their hearts of what they want to happen, but they don't understand the impact.
Right. So let's say you raise the minimum wage to $15. Well, that makes the price of the company that you're working at have to pay you $15. That means the price of the product that they're supplying, because they still need to make a profit, is going to go up. And if it goes up, then you kind of defeat the purpose, because it's going to go across the board going up for anyone who's working for minimum wage.
That means the company has to raise prices at some point. Because you don't make a business to lose money. You make a business to pay your bills and make money.
Yeah, we're not business to break even. You're business to make money.
Yeah, and so it's really simple, you guys. You can honestly look at it. This oversimplified viewpoint actually makes sense. When your cost of business goes up, you're going to have to raise more the prices of the thing that you provide. But then everyone else is doing the same thing, because this isn't like one company has to have their minimum wage. No. Everyone has minimum wage.
Board. So all food prices will go up. All taxi drivers have to charge more. All gas stations have to charge more.
Yep.
And what costs the most money for any company?
Labor.
Any kind of labor. It is going to cost
more. I mean,
more.
that does change business to business. I mean,
to business,
there's some that
still.
are more... That article even mentions that there's some that are more capital-intensive businesses. There's some that are more labor-intensive. But for labor-intensive businesses, minimum wage is for sure the bigger portion of their cost.
Now, let's talk about what happened to manufacturing after the minimum wage started increasing.
This is the big miss, you guys.
Right. What happened to manufacturing?
It left.
Right. It left the United States. Why? Because we kept raising the minimum.
Let's be really clear about this one point, you guys, because it really irritates me that people don't understand this. Companies don't leave America's shores because they just feel like one morning we woke up and we said, we want to move all the jobs to China or Taiwan or something else. Nobody does that. There's one reason companies leave America's shores, because when you leave, you now have to deal with different time zones. You have to deal with different languages.
Got to deal with customs. Customs suck.
Yeah, customs, import, outport, tax. You have to deal with shipping logistics.
Yep.
I mean, just everything gets more complicated. So why do they do it? There's one reason, and it's because it's too expensive to do it in America.
Correct.
That's the reason.
But let's go ahead and increase that minimum wage, so now we have to outsource more things.
Yeah, they don't say that at the time, but...
They can't because they can't sell that.
But you guys, like, seriously, pause the video for a second and go look to confirm what we're telling you. Here's America simplified. The cost of labor and production in America has just gone up way faster than inflation over the last, like, 50 to 70 years. Yeah. And that has caused the creation of stuff to just leave our shores. And it started with, like, the simplest things, and that's moved up the chain. So now even like architectural design type jobs are overseas. Financial industry jobs are overseas. Complicated tasks that used to require very skilled employees, those are even overseas. And you guys, that can destroy a nation. Because when you no longer make stuff and you're a service economy, that when international trade...
We produce nothing.
Yeah, when international trade and things start breaking down... Like, hey, how about a pandemic comes out? Yeah. And then all of a sudden everybody realizes like 98% of all the antibiotics are made in China. That's not a problem with China. China's great. Good for them.
Yeah.
But none of it's made in America is the problem.
Right.
So this pandemic breaks out, and all of a sudden all these sick people in America are like, oh my gosh, if we can't get antibiotics from China, we got a huge issue on our hands.
And if they just say they're not going to sell it to us, we're effed.
Yeah, you guys, you have to understand it clearly. The raising cost of American labor, and a big part of that is minimum wage, but then you also have just regulation and things like that. Yep. When you make business too expensive, business will leave your shores if it can. And when that happens, you are gutting your economy. You are gutting your ability of your country to be a producer of anything.
Exactly. So, and then we also have these federal regulations, but China and others have actually taken patents that are produced there and make duplicate copies of something that we've created ourselves. Yep. We own the patents, but they're just taking it and making something else.
Yep.
And taking some of it and taking our technology and using it.
So the people that are the highest skilled, most employable labor, they're able to find jobs still. But when like the lowest of the skilled labor, those jobs go overseas, those people now need help. And this article even says that there's a statement in this article that if you make the minimum wage, you are literally in the poverty level of the United States.
That is correct.
That's
the poverty line.
You guys, that's the problem right there. Yeah. So let me make this even clearer. America has had minimum wage since the 1930s, right?
Yep.
And at this point, after like almost a century of minimum wage, are you any better off? The answer is no. If you make minimum wage right now, you are making at the poverty level of the United States.
Yep.
That is proof that it doesn't work.
Right. So let's say you do get to $15. You're still below poverty line.
Because everything's going to get more expensive. Hey, do you notice inflation going on right now, Dan?
I do. I think I see it.
Gee, I wonder why that happens.
I don't know. Could be anything.
It's frustrating, you guys, because people don't see it.
Yeah.
It's one of those situations where well-intended politicians and people say people should make more money. And then they raise this cost, and then all of a sudden it's like rent is like $4,000 for your place, or, you know, just food bills are now $2,000 a month, right? And they're like, oh my God, I don't know why this is happening. So part of that is expansion of the money supply. That's a true thing.
Yep.
That is there. But that all the stuff
All
spins into each
out
other.
of control.
Yep.
They all merge at once, right? So now, but what happens if we remove the minimum wage?
If you remove the minimum wage, then there's a lot of things. There's short term and there's long term. What you really want is the long term. The question is, can you survive the short term?
Technically, you can't, because I don't see businesses pushing down what they're actually going to participate in. Because I don't see people running to the supermarket saying, "You know what? I only want to work for $3."
You know,
I don't see that.
I do have a general theory, though. We have this problem now in the United States. It's like you're addicted to your credit card. It's like the United States always is spending more and more money. The budgets are ever increasing.
Yeah.
We're not allowing our stock market to crash.
Correct.
We create money out of thin air and we inject it into markets to make sure that that's all fake and that's all manipulation. If you were to remove minimum wage and the real cost of production was to come back in, it could actually cause a long overdue market reset,
right,
if they allowed it to happen, which means we might go through a very serious amount of pain for a few years.
But in hindsight, that's still fine.
Well, it's like, but that's the question, right? Because just be clear, you guys. No Republican, no Democrat, no politician wants to be the guy that basically says, "Hey, guess what, America? Financially, we're going on a diet." Yeah. And it's gonna suck. You're gonna hate it. It's gonna be not fun.
Yep.
The next 10, 15 years, you're gonna struggle for food. You're gonna struggle for jobs. You're gonna it's really gonna suck. But when we come out on the other side,
we'll be on top.
Just trust me, things are gonna be okay. That doesn't work in politics.
Yeah. Because no one's gonna say, "Hey, I'm gonna crash the market, and it's gonna be great in a couple of years."
And the real reason that they can't do it is because average Americans, Americans don't understand this whole thing we're talking about right now, that when you want to have reality in your country, you got to stop lying and faking numbers and printing money and sending your jobs overseas and creating minimum wage that can't be afforded. You can't have layers of lies on there and get elected, because this whole election process, it only works well when your voter base is educated and they understand and they're willing to take those risks and those trade-offs.
But
right?
we've actually significantly decided not to teach Americans anything.
Yeah.
We don't teach them about certain economic standards in basic grade school. You know, people sometimes don't even understand supply and demand.
Yeah.
They definitely don't understand what a wage is. They don't even understand how to live in a freaking state. Nobody should be living in California right now. That's just stupid. Everyone should have vacated that.
California. Okay? I grew up in California, guys. It's terrible.
That's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. He's told me stories, and all I can think of is,
my family lives still there.
People are stupid. So, and here's another thing. If you're working for minimum wage right now, you have every right to go find another job. Because, when I was paid $4.25...
That's like what freedom's all about, you guys. Go get a better job.
So, I was paid $4.25. That was the minimum wage when I got my first stacking job at Skaggs off Beta. And then I went ahead and said, you know what? After this 2 weeks, I'm going to go find myself another job. And I did. I had Jack in the Box. They paid me more. Why? Yeah. Because I show up to work. And then when I was going to quit Jack in the Box, after a month, because I found another job, they went ahead and did my match plus a little bit extra just so I'd stay there. Because unlike other 16-year-olds, I actually showed up for work.
So let me drop a couple truth bombs on you guys. You own your own employability. How employable you are is based on your work effort, your skill set, your resume. You own that. And let me big picture that even more. There's nobody more responsible with the outcome of your life than you.
Correct. It's all in your hands.
That's a truth bomb. That's what freedom's all about, you guys. Yeah. If you want to have a good life, if you want to do good things, there is nobody on the planet that's in more direct control of your future than you.
Regardless of minimum wage, regardless of that,
and
it is all up to you.
That's even regardless of like where your starting point is. Like maybe some of you grew up in a rich house, and maybe some of you grew up, poor. 20 steps behind, like in a poor house and such like that. But even when your opportunities are smaller, it's upon you to take control of your life, to gain skills, to learn, and don't stay at a $15 an hour job.
Yep.
Keep building skill sets, keep building that resume. Like while you're doing your current job, have your eyes set on where you can go. That's on you, actually.
It is all about you and your perseverance, what you're actually willing to do, what you're actually willing to learn, what you're actually able to put forward to any company. You know what? The worst thing you can do is tell a company that you're going to take something insignificant amount of money. Because you know what a company is going to do? They're going to hire you because you're a dumbass and not affecting their bottom line. Yep. The cheaper you sell yourself, the more likely you'll be hired. But that's because they don't care about you. They're not going to help you out. They're not going to pay your bills. They don't care.
Yep. So you guys, minimum wage is not supposed to be something that you like raise a family on, that you support yourself for your entire life. It's not supposed to be it. It's minimum wage is more intended to be something that's like a stepping stone.
Right.
That you begin there. Yeah. And like while you're making money, you're gaining skill and you're getting ready for your next thing. So it's upon you.
Yep. So that's what we wanted to stress here, because I always get emails of how can I be more successful? How can I actually have what you have or have any of the items that you possess, that kind of stuff, because I'm just starting out. Well, the one thing you got to believe in is yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, you will never go anywhere.
So honestly, guys, I don't think America is going to change the direction that they're on right now. Like being that we're going farther into debt, we're not allowing our markets to crash and have reality. We're kind of faking and lying about everything in finance, including like the CPI and all this stuff. It's all nonsense. It's all nonsense. I don't honestly think that's going to change. But here's what can change: you.
That's right.
In your life.
Your individual person.
Yes. Yeah, you should be constantly working to see how can I go to the next level.
Correct.
How can I improve my employability? And some of you might have had bad things happen to you in your life. Some of you might have had some huge benefits. But across the board, you're all on the same platform that it's on you to, wherever you're at, upgrade it to the next thing.
And also observe how much things cost around you, and then find out how much other things cost elsewhere.
Yep.
Right? Because it's ridiculous. Some of the houses in one, housing in the other, completely different. Food prices in California versus food prices in Texas. It's completely off the rails. Gas prices in Florida are very cheap compared to the rest of the world. Nation. So, it's just ridiculous. When we were driving up to Jersey, we were seeing it at like $6 per gallon, and
we saw seven.
Seven, that's true.
We actually saw.
It was ridiculous. We don't have those gas prices down here because it's Florida.
We're in the forest.
Yeah. So come on down here. It makes more sense. Observe your cost of living. Find out where it is. Because if you're paid minimum there, you're going to make more money here. So you'll have more money.
To going back to the original topic, you guys, the minimum wage unto itself, it was supposed to be temporary. It was only put in place because of like a fear-based sell-off to kind of stabilize things. But America started down this route of like faking our own finances, faking our own industry, government trying to control the free market. And we're so far down that road, I don't know if honestly any of it can change. But it still doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter. It's not a good thing.
Yep.
The minimum wage shouldn't happen.
Right.
And the higher they raise the minimum wage, the more jobs that are going to be sent overseas, which makes your cost of living higher. If we raise the minimum wage, there's people that have jobs and people that don't. The people that have those jobs have a temporary benefit.
Correct.
The ones who lose their job because now their employer can't hire them, well, they already lose. Right. But of these people that still have their job, seems like things are good for a little bit, but then the next thing they know, their cost of living goes up, their food goes up, everything else goes up. So even they lose. That's the trend, you guys. Minimum wage going up is not a good thing. It sounds good. In theory. It's like a kid, thinking that like, oh, I'm going to eat nothing but candy. Doesn't this great? Because the kid doesn't understand. The kid doesn't understand. You eat nothing but candy, you're going to feel terrible.
Yeah.
They don't have that maturity. And so that's what the financial maturity side of it would say is like, if you vote for higher minimum wage, you are basically voting for your future inflation, effectively, and to have less jobs.
So that'd be fun. But you don't have to accept minimum. You can always do better than minimum.
Yep.
Anybody can do better than minimum.
Yep.
Because that's the minimum.
Yep. It's on you guys.
Oh, and another thing. I think employers should actually give incentive to employees to work. Give them percentage of the profit line. Put that aside.
We should make another video
Okay,
on
we'll
that
make
because
another
we're
video.
we gotta end this
We're
one. We're already way over.
Oh, sorry. We got passionate there.
Okay.
All right. Don't do the minimum, guys. Do the best you can do for yourself.
Try hard.
All right. Talk to y'all later.